Hello and welcome back to the Scratch coding class. In this video we will be continuing with the beginner's guide on Scratch that we started in the last video, so if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Right, today's lesson is going to be mainly about motion. So today we're going to understand what coordinates are in Scratch. We're going to learn about rotation, know how to use various motion blocks, and we're also going to look at the repeat and forever loops on Scratch. So let's get started. Okay, so we're in Scratch and basically we're going to start by creating a new sprite. So we're going to create an arrow here because that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to look at motion today and we're going to look at the X, Y grid. And if you did not check out the last video, make sure to do so. But anyway, we're going to start by looking at what is X and what is Y. So basically on Scratch, in the backdrop, there are lots of different positions which a sprite can go to, and the X basically represents from left to right, and the Y basically goes from up and down, as you can see from these symbols right here. And of course beside the X is a value, and that is the value of the X coordinate for the sprite and the value of the Y coordinate. Each sprite will probably have a different position in most scripts unless the coder wants to set it at the same position. You can of course drag the sprite to different positions, and we can also change the position with this block right here. Let's go to X and Y. Basically, you can go to a certain coordinate that is specified. So we can go to 80 minus 80. No, it goes instantly. If you don't want it to go instantly, you can use this block, which basically glides. So it basically moves it. So let's move it back to 0, 0. Watch what happens. It moves in 1 second. If we change this value so it doesn't move in 1 second, move a bit slower, and we're probably not going to do that because we're going to look at this block next, which is go to random position, and it basically goes anywhere random on the stage. And of course you can glide to the random position, which means it moves. You notice sometimes it moves a bit faster and sometimes it moves a bit slower. Well, if it's moving faster, because the random position is quite far from the position of the sprite it is already in, so it has to glide quite fast in 1 second. Whereas if the random position was very close to the sprite, 1 second, it won't take that long to move from there to there. So that's why it sort of has to slow it down. If you understand what I'm talking about, but you don't really need to know that. It's just if you're curious about it. And now we can look at these blocks, the change X by and the change Y by block, and basically this changes the X coordinate of the sprite. So we can change it by 10, so you know that X moves from left to right, so if we change it positive, the X is going to increase, which means the sprite is going to move right. We can of course change this to minus 10, and as you can see it moves left. Y is the exact same, moves up, and then if we do a minus value, it will move down. And you probably will use those blocks when you're coding games, when you're maybe making a character that can move, controlled by the arrow keys. You will need those blocks to change the X and change the Y and all that. And you can of course set each value like we did with this block, except this time it only sets X or only sets Y. So if you don't want to do anything with the X but you want to set a certain Y coordinate, then you would use this block instead of using this block. Right, those are X and Y blocks basically explained on Scratch. Now we're going to look at rotation, and rotation is slightly more complicated. So basically a sprite can move in a circular motion 360 degrees, and you can of course turn the sprite like so here in the direction, and currently it is pointing at around about 90 degrees, like so, and we can of course change that here, or there's a better way to do it. You can basically set the direction here. It's called point in direction, and you can change whatever direction you want. And these two blocks, they basically rotate the sprite clockwise, or they rotate it anti-clockwise. So this one rotates in a clockwise direction, this one moves anti-clockwise. And that is rotation on Scratch explained. And now we can look at this block, and this is the move block, and it basically moves a certain number of steps in the direction it's pointing in. That bit is very important because some people might be confused. Oh, the X changes by 10, or the Y changes by 10. It's not like that. It depends on the direction it's pointing in. To demonstrate, I'm going to point in a random direction. You probably think it moves up, or it probably moves right only. No, it moves in the direction it's pointing in. And I'll do another example, like so. And this is the move 10 steps block on Scratch. You can of course change the value so we can move more steps. Move 25 steps, so of course moves faster. And this block right here is basically sets the rotation style, so it doesn't have to go all around in a circle. It can go from left to right at this block right here. So let's say we turn by 80 degrees. As you can see, instead of moving in a circle, it can only go left or right. So it's only restricted to 2 directions, and this one, don't rotate. It can't even rotate at all, but we're not going to use that. We're just going to set it back to all around like so. I think I've basically explained all the motion blocks that we really need to know today. So I'm going to look at these blocks right here. These are loops on Scratch, and a loop is basically a repeat something multiple times. So we're going to take an example. We're going to do when green flag clicked. We're going to use we're going to move 10 steps, and then we're going to wait half a second, and let's just duplicate that a couple of times. If you want to know how to duplicate blocks, you can basically right click your mouse on the block and you can set this duplicate option, and it basically allows you to duplicate. So this is basically moving 10 steps, moving 10 steps, moving 10 steps, moving 10 steps. So it's doing this 4 times. Now, if we can move 10 steps and put a wait block in with the exact same script as one of these, except we can change the repeat to 4 times. So basically, it repeats whatever is inside the repeat loop for 4 times. So watch what happens. Look at the script, and look at the script. So they do the exact same thing, except this one can get very, very, very long, and you do not want to use that one. You want to use the repeat loop whenever you can basically use it. And the forever loop is very self-explanatory. It basically does something forever. So it will keep going, it will keep going, it will keep going, it won't stop. The only way to stop it is using this stop thing right here, or there's another block that can actually stop it, but we're not going to get into that today. Right, I think that is all that I wanted to cover today, so we're going to finish off with a couple of puzzles for you to try. Okay, so here we have a hedgehog in the middle of a road, and what we got to do is we basically got to get the hedgehog over to the other side of the road. However, first of all, we are not allowed to use these change X blocks and all that. We must only use the move 10 steps or point in direction block. The second thing is that we must use wait blocks so we can actually see the hedgehog moving, and the code must not be more than 5 blocks long. So have a think, pause the video, and I'm going to show you the answer. Okay, time's up. So what we're going to do is we're going to go when green flag clicked, and specify that we can only use 5 blocks of code. So basically we have to use a repeat loop for this. We must use a wait block. First we got to point in the direction 90 degrees because it's currently pointing in direction -69, which is that way, and we wanted to point that way. So point in direction 90 degrees, and then we can move a couple of steps. Let's say I wait 0.1 seconds, and I can do maybe 25 times to get to the other side of the road. So let's see what happens. So it gets up, it moves to the other side of the road like so. So that is all the code you need. Well done if you got that. Right, let's do another puzzle. Okay, so we have to get the red dot over to the purple square by following the blank spaces, and we must use the change X and the change Y blocks, and we must use wait blocks to show how we move the sprite, and repeat loops are allowed, and the code is already started right here. And also the distance between one square to another is 30 pixels. So have a think of how you're going to code this. I paused in the video. Okay, time's up. So here we have the code required to complete this. So basically we need to move left twice, so it's a negative change in x for 2 times. Then we need to move up 10 times, so it's a repeat 10 times, change y by a positive value, and then repeat 4 times, change x by a positive value, and then repeat 3 times, change y by a negative value. And let's see what happens when we press the green flag. There we go. So that is the puzzle. That's the answer to it. Well done if you got that. It's quite difficult. So anyway, that's really going to be it for today. So just to summarize with what we've done, we've learnt a lot of these motion blocks. We've learnt about coordinates on Scratch. We've also learnt about rotation of the sprite, and we've learnt about the repeat and the forever loops, and we have done a couple of puzzles putting that into practice. So anyway, thanks so much for watching this video of the beginner's guide to Scratch from the Scratch coding class, and make sure to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more coding videos, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.